The UK is now paying almost £9 billion per month to service the debt, just the repayments, the interest on debt of 2 trillion pounds. And this is £9 billion per month is 9,000 million pounds. You know what £1 million is? You know, it's a lot of money, right? This is 1,000 million pounds, and it's 9 times that, 9 billion, just to service the debt. And some of that debt has gone, the cost of some of that debt has gone up because some of the interest payments are inflation linked, and we're seeing a rise in inflation. So it's an unbelievable amount of debt. You know, it's been built up over the years. It obviously is partly due to the crisis last year and the unprecedented printing of money, but this debt has been building up in governments for many, many years. And now the debt of 2 trillion is close to 100% of GDP, the gross domestic product. It's like your gross annual income. So it's like having credit card debts up to here, and you know, you're just getting interest-free deals somewhere else to service the debt on the credit card you've got. But it, you know, as an individual, it would never last. As a business, this would never last because the business would be technically bankrupt and you'd be trading illegally. And probably what would happen is somebody would pull you down and pull you into bankruptcy anyway because you'd owe money. But governments can get away with this because they can just continue printing money to pay this debt. So how does that end up going? I mean, in America, the situation is even worse with acknowledged debt. This is published debt of $30 trillion, and that costs $600 billion per annum to service. I think it's like 50 billion a month. But in reality, America has sort of unacknowledged debt or liabilities of $150 trillion if you take into account things like pensions, social security, liabilities, and all sorts of things, which are, most of which are unfunded. I mean, the UK has similar problems with unfunded pensions. Your state pension is unfunded. There's no fund sitting there for you. This is why they keep trying to push it back. And then you've got state benefits like, unemployment benefit, sickness benefit, you name it, housing benefit, all these things, elderly care, which is becoming a huge problem in many countries, and of course the NHS, which is just a money pit. They keep piling money into it, and everyone says it needs more money, it needs more money. So all of these things are effectively like a debt, but they're really liabilities. Now, with record low interest rates, these debts can be just about serviced and they're manageable. But what would happen if interest rates went up to a normal 5 or 6%? I mean, 5 or 6% a few years ago would have been considered a good interest rate to pay on a mortgage. You think, great, 5%, I'll fix it for 10 years. I've paid mortgages at over 16%, and 12, 13% was the norm. And it's only since the financial crisis of 2008 that rates have, did come down, and they've stayed to what many people call artificially low rates. That the governments are keeping these down because if rates went up, they would have to pay more interest on the debts that they have, like the treasury bills, the bonds, the gilts. It would almost sort of bankrupt everybody if interest rates went up. And it's not just governments that are borrowing. In the ONS, the Office for National Statistics, said that in the UK, by December last year, 9 million people had to borrow more money. So personal debts are going up. Obviously, as people were laid off work, some people might have been on furlough but earning less money, or their hours are cut, the gig workers didn't work at all. So then they need to borrow money to cover rents and food bills and all this sort of thing. So how is this going to end? Well, the answer is that nobody really knows, because I don't think we've been in this situation before where almost every country in the world is printing money like there's no tomorrow. We've seen it before where countries like Germany in the 1920s just printed money and printed money. I think it was the Weimar Republic, and the Deutschmark at that time was just worthless. You could have a wheelbarrow of money left outside your house and people would steal the wheelbarrow and leave the money because the wheelbarrow was worth more than the money. And you needed, and we've seen that before. And what happened? Hyperinflation bankrupted the economy, and then led to the fascists coming in and the rise of Nazism. So we can solve all your problems. We've seen it in Argentina before with hyperinflation, Venezuela, Zimbabwe, where people just... I had friends in Zimbabwe and I said, what's happening? How are people surviving? They said, well, we're not using the Zimbabwe money now. We're just using dollars or the South African rand to trade. So the people get it, but what I'm saying is we've had countries doing this individually, but it didn't bring down the whole world. But now you've got the European Central Bank doing the same thing. You've got the Bank of England, the Federal Reserve, and other countries printing money. So that's why I'm saying, where is it going to end? I don't think we've been in this situation, but all of the countries in the world have just gone out and just printed and created money out of thin air. And inflation, whether they like it or not, whether they say it's temporary or not, it does look set to rise. Things are going up in price. Now, some people say that, yeah, but that's a temporary measure and the consumers will not pay these prices, so things will come down again. Maybe, but at the moment it looks like we're paying more for everything we buy and everything we do. So inflation is pushing things up, and when that happens, the only way to stop inflation is to increase rates. We've seen this in the past. This is why we had such high interest rates in the 70s and 80s, because inflation was high and they kept having to push up rates. I remember in one day they pushed up rates, I think it was 10 to 12% to 15% and back down to 12% in one day. And this is the Chancellor standing up in Parliament saying, I'm pushing rates up to 15%. And a couple of hours later it went down again to 12%. It was ridiculous. That was a real financial crisis. So that's what happens. Rates are pushed up to stop inflation. Otherwise, everything just goes to pot. So what will happen then? If that happens, then the governments are going to have to pay more interest on all this debt. We would all have to pay more interest rates on our credit card, higher interest on mortgages. And that I think it could plunge a lot of people into bankruptcy or certainly financial trouble. And maybe some governments into default and bankruptcy or defaulting on their debts and their liabilities like bonds and that sort of thing. So we don't know really what's going to happen. All you've got to do is to protect your own internal economy. Don't stretch yourself out so far that if interest rates went up, you could end up in trouble. And the real answer is to educate yourself about money so that you know how to build wealth and preserve wealth when disaster strikes, like it could happen. Educate yourself about property, educate yourself about where to invest, the stock market, what to do. Look at the stock market. Do you think it's a good investment at the moment? Do you think with the stock market going up for all these years, almost at unprecedented levels, and it is at an all-time high, do you think that can last? Or do you think it can go up a little bit further? You need to educate yourself. And I'm running free courses at the moment to help people educate themselves about money. I was a financial advisor for 25 years, so I almost feel it's like a mission to educate the world about. I've written a book, Yes, Money Can Buy You Happiness, about money. I feel it's almost like a mission for me to have people educated about money, because I don't see that the governments are doing it. I didn't see that the financial services industry wanted people to know about money. So I'm doing this for free. If you'd like to become financially free, or certainly get on the road to financial freedom, but without necessarily working any harder or spending your life exchanging time for money, then click on the link down below and there's some free training for you. It's on demand, so you just register for it. You can get that free training right now. And it's really like a gift to people who followed me on my podcast, on my Facebook Live. So do have a look at that. Click on the link. And if you find this useful, please like and share this so that social media does spread and it can spread the word about this free training. So click on the link for the free training below today, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Thank you.